Yeah, yeah. Alright, Chef, what up? CMP, what up? Masons think they add it, but they tack down tassels. Watch me send you rope to Albion and a lasso. Caucasoid hybrid, sun burns the islands. To the human fam, we created a virus. Some help to build, but most destroy our future through melanin girls and melanin boys. Fast food, television, miseducation. Missed the history, stole the rights from our nation. National appellation, not in all capitals. Tribes of nobles and noblesse with woven crests. Feathers and sashes, shawls and vests. On Nationality Jews, I put an alpha hex, omega the rest. Without a bloody mess, left dead in some Nikes like David Koresh. Burn out your temple with myrrh and frankincense. To work a ritual, it's all about intent and invent. Melanin, the magic dust, trust me. I shade to all the Poon and while all Orishas love me, trust me. Black candles, we got red ones too. When lit with that, you think this is deja vu. With no Denzel, cause Washington won the Grammy. He doesn't even know Washita is his granny. Could've sniped Wesley, but went for tax evasion. Moors and cards facing these Judge Masons. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your story, there's Moorish truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tree boots and swine. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your story, there's Moorish truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tree boots and swine. Coming to you from the blackness in the peyote teepees. Not the head rush from ice or sucking freezies. You could choose to research, don't believe me. Key of life songs cause inner visions and wonders like Stevie. Walk through the world under, your mind flows like tundra soil. Hit you like Shango when my blood's on boil. Come as Bata'Allah or Batala. With one eye for sight, I can see from afar. Mermaids and mermen cry for tadpoles and jars. Trying to get the serious, they call it mission to Mars. To get you not looking, distract attention. Not to mention, but they have your brains in a lasso and your pineal gland tattooed. With designs calcified, my height is amplified. To level so deep, my flow is amphibious style. Leaving clansmen bloody in a hideous pile. Not like King Leonidas and Spartan saying 300. To call a legion of raw, you must be frontin' like European pharaohs before the 18th dynasty. Coming and killing me and saying they nasty. One golden fire war, so you can't catch me. Had to jack your beat, cause the shit's catchy. Sometimes it fake proves my face screw like little Scrappy. And at the piggies with the scanners trying to speed trap me. Cause I'm repping blue bloods wanna cap me. I told you, boys in blue thinking I'm a Crip soldier. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your story, there's Moorish truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tree boots and swine. Give back your rituals and your Babylon ways. Give back your holy books, call me rebellious slave. Give back your story, there's Moorish truth in mine. Give back your crucifix, hanging tree boots and swine. On the real. Fake Moors know the deal. Yo, Red King, what up? That's how we do it. Give back the rituals and your Babylon ways. Call me rebellious slave. I'm a Moor, some call me Saracen, some Muslim. Europe had some dark age issues, I solved them. Using Moorish science, I'm stating the obvious. Rapper drone stepped up from Kush to Mali blunts. Unawakened, unconscious. Unaware Moors won't accept the fact, plus he looked up black or more. Moors the custodian of Kemetic Nubians, carrying the marvelous light, the path Negroes to Nubians, saying I'm a Moor, not colored or black. I'm a Moor, Seti or Enki, they can't change that, cause I know their hands don't extend past Allah's wisdom. I'm a Moor, no doubt a contradiction. Return to my own vine and fig tree. Nationality, a mind frame if you with me. Reclaim your ancestral mind and shout.
I'm a Moor, red fairs, black past, elders of my class, not black or Indian. I repeat, I'm a Moor, indigenous to the farthest west. Say we were great, still they say we the best. Hear what I say, I'm a Moor. Yes, it's true, if not for Drew Ali, most of y'all would have still been asleep. Now you could tell I'm a Moor than you could ever wish you thought you would be. 3 centuries deep in Moorish science, I read, study, I'm a Moor.
Rope on a peg, stuck in the shore. Oceanographic device anchored to sea floors. Goldfish of China and Japan. Veil tail variety, brushing the cold water plants. Stretches of lands, jungles are where sand blows. Reptilian species and amphibians homes. Defending Drew Ali, that's my mission. To put securely in place or desired position. Ancestral mindset, not thinking like the hybrids. Can't hide from a 10, so they mess with the climate. Mess with the minds, mess with the foods, get violent about more subjugation. Your black leaders are quiet, signed on to King Alfred, but they want you to riot, pushing dogma as religion and want you to buy it. Most never do it, but they want you to try it. Too many have knowledge of self on the shelves and won't apply it.
I'm a Moor, red fairs, black past, elders of my class, not black or Indian. I repeat, I'm a Moor, indigenous to the farthest west. Say we were great, still they say we the best. Hear what I say, I'm a Moor. Yes, it's true, if not for Drew Ali, most of y'all would have still been asleep. Now you could tell I'm more than you could ever wish you thought you would be. 3 centuries deep in Moorish science, I read, study, I'm a Moor.
Yeah. You know, we seek that higher knowledge. Only the ignorant can't relate. We just kill them with love instead of hate. That's what it's about.
We are Moors.
Shout out to the grass sheep, Cujo Hill, Iron Sheep. Yeah.
We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snapback, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Blue, white, green fairs, not just red. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and muftis for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Your slave name crest might have a Moor head. We are Moors.
20 Moors rockin', you could call them Moroccans. Racial West adepts, let's get it poppin'. Got a problem with my sheep? Got a problem with me. I be on the front line rolling 23 deep. I be studying for hours, 7 days a week, working on my higher self, cause the devil don't sleep. Big ups to Cujo L, that's the Iron Sheep. 7's up, facing the east, praising Allah. Astrology, cosmology, that's the real law. I slow roast ya, master the flame like Zoe Roaster. The rise of the new Moors, old heads move over. That Kundalini energy rising up like a cobra. This is training day, mount up with real soldiers. Elevate beyond the hate and claim your lost estate. The only reason you hate is you too blind to relate. The only reason you hate is you too blind to relate.
We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snapback, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? I don't rock a hat, just a turban, no affairs. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and muftis for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Your slave name crest might have a more head. Stop talking crazy. You can't be everything but Moors. That's like willing to stay minority and not mature. Therefore, Tosh Tariq Bey taught the world don't respect you. However, since you want to be it, you go down when they fall. They, the ones you call government, that's really a corpse. Black man means funeral director. Should make sense, of course. Music is the food and the message, the medicine. Mumble food is poison. I'm with the golden era veterans like Mark D. Condolences, QB, RIP Prodigy, who studied the history of the Moors and etymology. You missed the Corsica headband, disguised as a bandana. Moorish MC, the real Moroccan, not a French Montana. Kendrick Lamar, you Sarahite, trust me, Hebrew's a language. Lupe put Moors in his video, made the point vantage. Yassine Bey knows Sabebe, knows Moorish master MC. Fuqan Bey and Daddy IU are on some Moorish degrees. Sprague and Bojuno, they even killed Peter because of Macintosh. Still visit the global planets, hip-hop astronauts. Milky Way flow, rays of tassels, blind unbelievers. To higher than other senses, to still pick up the frequency. Pick your addiction, truth will still make itself known. To go platinum now, you gotta give up more plus your soul. Watch Professor build pyramids, I watch Drink Champ steady. Cause Nori said you are on a track, so call me petty. Also Martin Moore exec produced the War Report album. Aboriginal Super Cat taught me how to hang and scalp them. Operation Lockdown, video feathers like I said to do. Initiate invasions, activate outdoors every scoop. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Circle 7 snapback, not just affairs. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Blue, white, green fairs, not just red. We are Moors. Heard what I said? Keep talking reckless and movies for your head. We are Moors. You heard what I said? Your slave name crest might have a more head. We are Moors. We are Moors. Heard what I said? We are Moors. Heard what I said? Heard what I said? Heard what I said? We are Moors. We are Moors.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. Time to conquer Earth.
Alpha, we just escaped. Recruit a team of teenagers with attitudes.
Go, go, Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. Go, go, Power Rangers. You mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Forget all these guys. Forget them all. Forget them all. If it's not about nationality and birthrights, forget it all. If it's not going to get you out of the BS that you went through here, shut the hell up. We know Moors who, just because they said that they're Moors and not some other BS, their life is proper right now. Forget everybody else who's playing around out here. Since that's their birthright, they exercise, and they're straight. They're straight. You got no issues. People want to be Moors to get out of some BS that they got themselves into. You want to be Moors because of that. You want to be Moors because it's their birthright. People are playing games, and they're going to keep playing games, and we're going to keep putting them on the board and using them for target practice to teach the people why you need to declare and proclaim your nationality. We're not just talking crazy. We know what we're talking about. So today we're going to deal with the cup on the head niggas who call themselves Hebrew Israelites. They want to make a mockery of Moors and call themselves everything except Canaanites, which is what they are, or ancient Egyptians, which is what they are. Not no damn Hebrew Israelites. You're Power Rangers if you're saying you're a Hebrew Israelite. You're not serious. Everything that you have in your culture, Hebrew Israelite, is tassels. That's Moorish. Tassels is not from Israel, what you call some holy land that some people took Palestine and made it a holy land. But you're going to say, oh, forget over here, because over here is, you know, the land of great captivity and stuff like that. So you got to get out, you go to Israel. All right. So how come when you go to Israel, how come these Hebrew Israelites aren't telling you that when they go say they're Hebrew Israelites, know that that's a quote unquote unresolved status in Israel? Think about that. At least in America, you had a dead status of Negro. But in Israel, when the black guys say, yeah, we go back to our holy land or whatever, and they go to Israel, they're taking on a status that is unresolved over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's unresolved. That's their status in Israel, where they're claiming they're going. That's what their status is. Over here, they had a dead status. Now they went to somewhere that's supposed to be their holy land, and your status is unresolved. There's something definitely going on with these so-called Moors of America that always claim they want to go somewhere and abandon their birthright right here. Abandon it. There's a lot more.
His mom.
Just looking for something if you have a punch-in.
Yeah, you going in, but just to add on quickly is you already know the sellout is real. They have to continue to sell out. Us, the Moors, y'all, the active Moors, they must be being very active because a lot of people are starting to get frustrated because we're exposing all the fraud that's going on. So there's been a lot of videos and like a rush out of nowhere, like a couple videos about Moors out of nowhere, real quick in a bundle. It's because of the active Moors putting pressure on these people while they're out trying to do their little seminars and stuff like that. And there's like 4 or 5 feathers in the corner. You know, that's starting to put pressure on these so-called leader guys. So they starting to get frustrated, make videos about Moors because Moors are everywhere with our headdresses on, wearing our turbans and feathers. That's why these so-called groups out here, they get frustrated because we're exposing them. We walking around in our national headdress, looking like we're supposed to look. You know, not going around with the fraud anymore. You know, knowing who we are, standing on constitutional principles and stuff like that. Like, we're not dealing with the dogma. It's killing them. You know, I was telling the Grand Sheik earlier, the thing is, we're doing the El Hajj. When the dude told him, get your hand out my pocket. All active Moors got their hands in these sellouts' pockets right now because they can't make any fiat notes because of us being active. We shutting down them getting any of their notes because y'all being very active, telling people who they are. Grand Sheik was on the phone with me. A Moor called him to get a reference because he was going at it with somebody else. Like, that's how much Moors is on it. Me and Grand Sheik building, a Moor called him to get a reference on what he was going through with somebody he's debating, which it wasn't a debate, but he's trying to put him on. That's how everybody's active right now. So it's going to be a lot of these videos that's going to come out, but it don't matter. We're going to keep putting it right back and letting brothers know. You know, because the video is called "We Are Moors." It just seems like they must be a little confused about certain things, so we're just going to correct them. You know, because they say the video says "We are Moors."
Islam.
Right.
Islam to that. So before we go there, we just want to set the stage. Set the stage. The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien. Richard Smith. By the way, the next time one of these Bible-thumping, inbred rejects tries to sell you on the bogus idea that Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, or paganism represent false religions, try to remind the imbecile in question that if it wasn't for those so-called false religions, there would be no such thing as the fabricated pale-skinned freak that these demented nut jobs refer to as Jesus Christ. If you think I'm kidding, go have a nice long talk with some Judaic, Egyptian, and Hindu scholars and theologians. They know all about the Isa scenario. And if you're lucky, they might actually be inclined to talk with you about it too. Good luck with that one. After all, if you could get any one of them to spill the beans, you'd be guilty of aiding and abetting the criminal and inconvenient truth that extraterrestrial intervention is the foundation and creator of all religious faiths. So since it's Holy Day today,
I was on mute, Gary Sheik. I'm sorry. Can you read that last part one more time? Just read that last part one more time, please.
And if you're lucky, they might be inclined to talk to you about it too. Good luck with that one. After all, if you could get any one of them to spill the beans, you'd be guilty of aiding and abetting the criminal and inconvenient truth that extraterrestrial intervention is the foundation and creator of all religious faiths. Right?
The rabbit hole is deeper than we thought.
The rabbit hole is deeper than we thought. The rabbit hole is very deep. And then again, to make sure that everything's in perspective, we're going to give you the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. They claim Hebrew, whatever position they claim, doesn't matter. We're going to see what a Hebrew is in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, because 6-point star means extraterrestrial.
Yep.
So since a 6-point star means extraterrestrial, then we're going to look at this metaphysical. We're not going to look at it mundane. Just like how Rick Smith's talking about the Bible thumper guys who that's all they want to do, be on the corner, yell about some Bible, whatever. But when the Moors pass around, they don't talk when the green fez and the blue fezzes come around.
Nope.
They might talk some BS when the red fezzes come around. When the blue fezzes and the orange fezzes and white fezzes come, they don't have any talks like that.
Nope.
Oh yeah, what? Talk about your one when you saw them and he forgot to put down the megaphone.
oh, because they're around here. Everybody sees them on YouTube or whatever, yelling in the microphone and stuff in public. Well, they're around here too. So I was traveling. I was traveling, and I took a right at the light. And where they're at, it's like a little island where like it's a little park area where like people can like walk their little dogs or whatever. They standing right there with big old speakers, bigger than everybody, yelling. And I take the right, and I look at the brother talking. He looks right at me, and he's going in, explaining whatever, trying to talk. And as he's going in, he mumbles and says, "Look at the Moor." And but he didn't know he had the microphone in his hand, so everybody could still hear him. Everybody could. So to the point where I yelled out the commands, "Islam, Moor!" He started yelling because I heard you. Look at the Moor. That's right, Islam, Moor. They know. And another thing, I'm in the mall. The same so-called Hebrew Israelites approach me. I got my blue fez on. He goes, "Oh, a blue fez? Oh, you a real Moor." And I was like, "Oh, peace, Moor. It ain't like that." He was like, No. I'm an Israelite. You a real Moor. I ain't got nothing to say. He just threw his hands up. He just threw his hands up. That's all he did, and just walked away. And I was like, man, these Israelites, they only do that stuff on camera. When you see them in person, they don't, and the cameras ain't on, they don't want to, because they know. They just do that for their views. They're not doing that. They know that they're Moors. They know that they can't. We got so much information that everything shuts down everything, because we're not just coming from the Bible. We start using other references. And another thing too. Hold on, Rick. Can I read something, Grant?
Yeah, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. All right. Islam. This is coming out of who wrote the Africans who wrote the Bible. Ancient Secrets, Africa and Christianity Have Never Told, by Nana Bachi Darkwa, PhD. On page 45, it reads Ancient Literature Beside the Biblical Documents. Hold on. Nope, not that one. Dang. Hold on, Gracie. I can read it, though. I can read it. Most Christians do not know that there are other ancient religious documents other than the Bibles. Most do not know that there are other religious documents older than the biblical documents. Most of these religious documents that are older than the biblical documents and from which the biblical doctrines were taken are found in numerous ancient Egyptian pottery, tucked away in museums in Europe and around the world. Unfortunately, most Christians and even scholars outside the study of ancient Egypt do not know that ancient Egypt has a vast literature yet to be introduced into the world. At least European scholars acknowledge that such ancient Egyptian literature exists. as Sir Wallace Budge wrote in the Egyptian religion. The literature of Egypt, this is Wallace Budge. He says, the literature of Egypt, which deals with these subjects, is large and as was to be expected, the product of different periods which, taken together, cover several thousands of years. Most Christians will never believe today that the concepts and ideas in the biblical documents belong to the ancient Egyptians, or even that the biblical documents were compiled and translated for the Greeks in ancient Egypt. They make it seem like these so-called Israelites wrote the Bible, or Jews wrote the Bible. That the so-called people in the patriarchs that, according to the Africans who wrote the Bible, the patriarchs who are in the Bible never even heard of the word Jew or Hebrew. So-called Moses never even heard of a Jew or Hebrew. Never even heard of the word. But they try to drag you into something. Okay, and that's the other thing. Okay, there we go. You see how you bring up a metaphysical Bible, right? Something outside of the regular documents they use. Now look, it says, unfortunately, most Christians around the world do not know that it has long been the strategy of the church to make them accept only the ideas of the Bible and not look beyond it. These people are not Hebrew Israelites, they're Christians. They're Constantinians. They follow in the same concept as the church. They don't even know that the so-called church, who they try to make you seem like they don't have nothing to do, nothing with. They have the same concepts.
Right, and this
they can't look.
Sorry to interrupt, Mark. And this is why when people try to tie Moors to Islam, we know you don't know what you're talking about, because our religion is Islamism, which I don't know what you're talking about. Our religion, you know, it's not about religion.
Right.
This is not about doctrine.
Right. Go in on that, Grand Sheet. Because they bring that up. They like to drag us in on that.
Now going again to Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Meta. Metaphysical definition. See Ibir or Heber. Eber or Heber. For ideas as to the symbology of Hebrew. The Hebrews surely represent the thoughts in man that have come up out of the purely material and passed over to a higher concept of God, of his laws, into a closer and clearer relationship with God. These thoughts are, however, still under law, the law of sin and death. For true freedom, spiritual understanding and realization, life and peace come only by the still higher way, which is the Christ method, the way taught and demonstrated by Jesus Christ. So Hebrews are thoughts. It's a thought form. Because remember, the realm of metaphysics, all is mental. And all these beings that they've been showing us are really manifestations of our higher self. or the Christ consciousness in a being. But people always gravitate to the lower self, which gets them trapped in the religion, because that's the only way you're going to be there, trapped in that jurisdiction of dogma, where you only have one book as a reference. You only have one book as a reference. You're trying to put me on game, and you're showing me one book as a reference. And again, because of that whole play, that's what the grand sheiks and whoever were sellouts, that's what they knew about the religious game. Why people started running from Moorish Science Temple. Because it's the same game. And then, of course, underlying that, the religious game is the Masonic game, where all these people have a fez at home and they know what's up and they're playing with everybody out here. Because they know the great degrees. And they're boldly keeping them from the people, to keep the people in the mental servitude state, so the state could keep raping them and them not get anything. Them only being used. Because remember, all is mental. All that stuff you see, you thought you saw, and all that is can't even use that as a reference. Because everything's been tampered with. What does spirit tell you? What does a little voice say when you're about to do that messed up stuff? Bet you little voice intervene. This is bigger than what's on the paper. What's on the paper is supposed to tap you into different places of your consciousness for you to unlock certain keys that are there, waiting to be unlocked. Just waiting to be used. Because as man unfolds, that's when you see God. That's when you get to Christ consciousness. When self unfolds. But don't think you're unfolding. You're not pulling lotus flower if you're stateless. You're not doing lotus flower if you're stateless. Now remember, again, these people saying they're leaving here, going somewhere. Forget here. Kasadiah Bat Israel and her husband, Joshua, were riding a public bus in Beersheba recently when out of the blue, a fellow passenger started hurling racist insults at them while broadcasting the interaction live on Facebook with their cell phone. The video went viral, and the passenger was vehemently criticized in the Israeli media and online. She later told Israeli Channel 10 television news that she had been just joking around. For members of the African Hebrew Israelite community to which Kasadiah and Yehoshua belonged, the incident was a painful reminder of the racism they tried to escape when they began leaving the United States. Sounds like you went from the pot into the pan.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that's supposed to be your holy land and stuff like that and whatever. Like I'm saying, only Moors you hear about. And stuff that's news that people look and say, oh my gosh, the Moors, whatever, are 2% of Moors who did madness. That's not all of them. But all these people talk, they're getting out of here because here is not their holy land. And they're here against their will and whatever. They go back, okay, so then you go back over there, but then you're still getting the same racist BS that you're getting here. Obviously, something's wrong with that. Their presence was contested from the beginning. The founders of the community are non-Jewish African Americans who identify as descendants of the ancient Israelites, but not as Jews. Since they didn't qualify for automatic citizenship under the law of return, they entered Israel as tourists and stayed illegally. Now,
how can a so-called Israelite be a tourist in Israel?
In Israel, how could a so-called Israelite be a tourist in Israel? Oh, because that's not Israel. That's how. There's no law of return to Israel. That's European Ashkenazi Corporation.
Yeah.
That's Khazar operations. They don't even lie that they took Palestine. They don't lie. Like, they know exactly what they did. Now, didn't qualify. Now, you're Israelite, which means you're Israelite. That means you're from Israel. If you're from Israel, then you should be able to go there. For example, we're in Morocco. Oh yeah, you can tell that story too about the other Hebrew Israelite with the male.
Oh, yo, that's okay. I wish my man was here to tell the story. So it's me. It was me. All right. My son, I know little Yusuf was out there. And Munir and the Hebrew Israelite. But the Hebrew Israelite, I know him because I went to a debate with it was a Hebrew Israelite versus Kemet. They was having a debate, and I went to it or whatever, and they was there, so I met a lot of them there, so I know him. And he knew somebody across the street from me. He was visiting. That's why when he saw me, he was like, "Oh, what's up, man?" So that's how we started off. So it come up, we're debating, we're going back and forth. I'm a Moor, we're Moorish, and he's like, we're Israelites and whatever. So we're going back and forth, and the mailman shows up, and then the mailman shows up and he goes, "Are you Yusuf?" Excuse me, are you Yusuf? I look at him and I'm hot right now, because me and him were really going at it. So I'm like turning around looking at him and I was like, all right, calm down. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Yusuf, whatever. So he was like, oh, you got to sign for this. So, all rights preserved. And what it was I was getting a package from another Moor. And when I got the package, on the package itself, when we write, it only says Morocco on it. You know, there's no so-called Massachusetts. No. It says Morocco, and then they put the longitude, latitude, and all of that on there, and it gets to my domicile. You know, so when like all of that happened at the same time, to the point where as soon as I go show it to him, like, what do you mean? Before I can say anything, he was already, yo, can I take a picture of that? He already knew. He's seen it. He's seen it. And he was like, can I take a picture of that? These Israelites know that this Morocco. Like, he didn't want to debate after that. He was like, yo, that's real. That's real right there. That's exactly what he said. That's real. That's real right there, because he's seen it. He was holding it. You know, like, this ain't what we can do this word stuff all day, but this is action right here. This ain't, y'all say this Hebrew stuff all day, whatever. But you see this documentation right here? This ain't Morocco on it. And he could not deny that. He could not deny it. Hebrew guy, mad. I know he was mad inside. Never seen him again.
So never again.
Never
That was
seen him
it.
again.
That was it. Right? When really, they're supposed to just add their LRB and get on board. What you mean? You know, what do you mean you're not going to be a Moor, even though the Moor showed you Morocco on the envelope? What you mean? Oh, and Moor just put in the chat that you call your teacher a Moore? What are you guys talking about? You're not Moors. Hebrews called their leader/teacher the Moore.
Killing themselves once again.
You just stay stabbing themselves in the foot all the time. All the time. So they go all over there and they have nothing. They go over there. Okay. Let's just see what's going on here.
Too big.
Yeah, more.
Just real quick to add on.
Yeah, go ahead, more.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna go to the articles, but go ahead, yo.
Oh, just real quick. Just real quick. It's same book. No. Okay, yep, same book. The Africans who wrote the Bible. It says on page 34, ethnically and racially, the biblical patriarchs from whom Jewish people claim their descent were not Jews or Hebrews in the historical times they lived. The biblical reference to Abraham and Joseph as Hebrews in the Genesis story was therefore a late attempt to confer with a few group of Afro people had gone to Europe to become on their ancestors and their so-called ancestral story. The biblical patriarchs were at best ancient Egyptians. Telling them
they were at best North Africans.
Yep.
And then you already know the ancient Egyptians passed on the stuff.
It says, why would, an ethnic name is an identity and a heritage. And what has puzzled some African scholars who now is why the Afro people allowed Europeans to give them different ethnic names when they already had their ancient ethnic name and identity. Why would a whole people consent for their racial and ethnic identity and heritage to be changed by another group of people? People, it's not that it's not like this isn't like everybody knows that Hebrew Jew stuff is not real. Everybody, like, he's not arguing that. He wants to know why would y'all let that be accepted? Why would y'all accept that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not even arguing the fact that that's the truth. Like, the Jew and Hebrew, that's fake. Europeans called y'all that. Why did y'all let that happen? That's the question. We're not debating y'all or we Hebrews or Jew or Moorish. We're not debating that. Why did y'all let them change who y'all were? That's the question. That the PhD scholar is writing, Nana Banshee. I think, oh, that's your brother. Nana. Wants to know why did y'all let Europeans change y'all identity? Why did y'all let that happen? Playing games. Europeans called y'all that. Y'all took it on Eurocentric thinking. And going around here, going to Palestine and talking about the Israelites being fake Jews or something like that. You guys in Palestine. Everybody's colored right now. The whole thing was fake. Everything. Fake Jews. Y'all the fake Israelites. That's Palestine with the Moorish gate. That's the only thing that was real here was the Moorish gate in Palestine. That's the only thing that's real. And they take your whole trips there, lying, taking children there and everything, lying. That's the sellout right there. The sellout is real, Grand Sheet.
So real.
Look, you already know we are all Moorish. Peter the Venerable. Okay, because I know people want to know who Peter the Venerable. Before I speak about him, Peter the Venerable, right? Okay. So he was the it says, despite his active life and important role in European history, Peter's greatest achievement is his contribution to the reappraisal of the church's relations with the religion of Islam. A proponent of studying Islam based upon his own sources, he commissioned a comprehensive translation of Islamic source material. And in 1142, he traveled to Spain where he met his translators. One scholar has described this as a momentous event in the intellectual history of Europe. Now, this guy we're talking about, Peter the Venerable, right? He says, quoting from the book We Are All Moors by Noor Majid, states that this guy, Peter the Venerable, he states a Jew is not a Jew until he converts to Islam. Like this is one of the top scholars back in 1142. European Peter the Venerable, who was most likely a Moor, but Europeans looked at him like he was the top scholar back in that day. This guy right here told him, a Jew is not a Jew until he converts to Islam. That was in between 1094 and 1156 AD that was being mentioned. That's crazy. That's like almost 1,000 years ago. They already knew what it was.
Right, they knew what it was. And again, keep in mind, everybody knows. Right, so 2 big misconceptions about Black Hebrew Israelites. Let'sPleaseGod.com. Misconception 1. Nationality, group affiliation, and religious beliefs are all the same thing. People tend to affiliate any Black person who now claims Israelite ancestry with the various religious groups or cults who proclaim the same. All of these groups have different interpretations, blah, blah, blah. But because a black person claims Israelite roots, they're not automatically a part of these groups. Is that logical thinking? When you meet Chinese people, do you immediately assume they practice Buddhism? Do all Indians you meet practice Hinduism? What about an Arab? Is he or she automatically Muslim? Are all white Americans Christian? The answers to all these questions is no. Then why do you group black people who claim to be Israelite nationality with these religious groups? Nationality is something totally different from a religion or a religious denomination. Religion is man-made, and the groups I mentioned above borrowed parts of Judaism, biblical practices, and their own doctrines to form these religions. Now on to nationality. Nationality is about belonging to a particular nation, ethnicity. Nationality is simply an origin. Black people are the called out nation God originally created in the Old Testament, which he later scattered when they disobeyed and rejected his son. See my article, Why I Believe Black People Are the Israelites. Now, it's very interesting that the only people who can claim Hebrew as a nationality, or Israelite as a nationality, or Hebrew Israelite as a nationality, are Moors, who are part of that faith. So we have Moorish Jews of Harlem that everybody knows they were Hebrew Israelite. But they were recognized as the Moorish Jews. We already know Moorish ties to nationality. So they were right on with it. Because what do? They put the nationality there. Moorish. And all these so-called different groups, but they're all Hebrew Israelite and all say Yahweh or whatever, but they're different groups. Stop the BS. All you guys are the same stuff. Unconscious Moors. You only have the religious side and you don't have the national side. You can't be talking about black people and then saying that nationality. Because nationality is you belong to a nation. It has nothing to do with ethnicity, nothing. What nation you belong to. That's why the Moor got the mail from Morocco and had the Hebrew Israelite going nuts. What do you mean? As we're standing here talking about this, the mailman pops up and gives mail saying Morocco. There's a level of responsibility that all these different groups, organizations, religious whatevers have to take for our people being slaughtered still. Because all these stateless jurisdictions that our people created, thinking that it was for their liberation, have done nothing for them, but either made them a puppet to somebody else who's King Kong of their whatever stuff that they got.
Yeah.
Or You're in something that ain't nothing happening. Nothing to say that I know more tomorrow than I know today. It's the same BS. Nationality takes you over that hump.
Mm-hmm.
Nationality propels us because now everything that we claim to have would be ours. Wouldn't be somebody else's property. And then that way the energy stays with us now. Because we would be doing for our nation, not for some corpse that's gonna come in and tax you after. Just because you let them by not having nationality. Not knowing how to fight when these people send you a letter claiming some BS. Take a point. Take a point from what these people experienced when they go to Israel. That they go there and they're getting the same racist stuff that they got when they were here. Now remember, they're going over there, and that is not the jurisdiction that, even if they did come from there, whenever their people left to come over here before they went back over there, it's not the same stuff going on. It's just like the more who gets locked up and comes home after 20 years and stuff's different. You missed 20 years. And Demos has run through majority of places. Left whatever they could leave. And it's open because they talk about it that day. Oh yeah, their democracy is wherever. And all the republics are scattered. But nationality would bring all those scattered pieces together. Because the only reason they're scattered is because they're calling themselves all types of BS. Instead of sticking to the program. And like we were talking about, remember, they're going to say, you know, Kabbalah, that's tree of life, which is extraterrestrial. That's not physical. 7 candlesticks, that's not physical. There's some physical stuff going on. It's all metaphysical. It's all beyond what they told us that is whatever it's about. You've been lied to. Going back again to the scholars. Make sure you give reference points. Moore gave some reference points. He had some books he read out of. I read out of some books because you need to be able to know that everybody knows. Dr. Ben. It must be remembered that the father of European history, Herodotus, described the originators of the mystery system as being similar to any of the people called Negroes in the United States of America, or Bantus in the African continent. Even those later on called Moors fit this description. And remember, the originators of the mystery system are these same people who lie to themselves, say that they're Hebrew Israelite or whatever. When they're the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, Phoenicians, and all that. Dying to be something else, opposed to what they're supposed to be. There's this other one. There's a lot more.
Islam.
You have anything to add on right now?
Right. Islam. Earlier you was comparing how everything was metaphysical, and even with the story with the brother of when the so-called Hebrew Israelite came over here, and I gave the mailman gave me the mail with the envelope saying Morocco on it. I got a book, right, called The Hidden Channels of the Mind from Louisa E. Ryan, right? And what she explains is it's called parapsychology is a branch of science that deals with the range of mental abilities, commonly called psychic, and is best known for its concern with extrasensory perception. So they call it or ESP. So they abbreviate it to ESP. It's called extrasensory perception, right? And it's different things that happen because of the mind, right? For instance, that same thing, like how I was being so adamant about this being Morocco in my mind and like it's real to me, like to the fact where it had to, okay, it's like in her book, right? She uses a story where it was a lady, two co-workers worked together in a lab or something like that. And she wanted to call the co-worker, but it was late. And she didn't like calling, she never called anyone after 8 o'clock. That was her thing. Like, she was like very respectful with that. She didn't want to call anyone past 8 o'clock. So she was like, but she wanted to know. So she calls the girl and her co-worker. She picks up the phone. It's 9 o'clock. And the girl picks up and she was, hello. And she's like, are you all right? And she's like, oh, I just woke up or whatever. And she asks her for the information. She's like, oh, I have to go get my book. And she comes back to the phone and she screams to the girl, you saved my life. The lady didn't go to sleep. She dozed off. She left the gas stove on. But the lady being, I don't want to call after 8 o'clock, and her mind, it being, something telling her, that's the, the extrasensory perception.
Yeah. That's
the mailman, me being adamant, this Morocco, him showing up, mailman, are you Yusuf? Right? Like, that's the psychic ability. Yeah. You're, like, that's the metaphysics, the hidden channels of the mind. Like, that's what the Moorish science. That's what I'm glad the Grand Sheik bring that up. I was like, wait a minute, I got a book on exactly what happened and can show them how that's the hidden channels of the mind. That's the psychic abilities right there. It bugged me out, man. It bugged me out. That's that lady, and even in the book, she was like, I don't want to that lady saved her life. You know what I mean? Stressing herself out, thinking like that. Like, should I call? Should I not call?
Yeah.
Boom. You know what I mean? That hidden channels of the mind. You know, save somebody. She gave a bunch of ways, you know what I mean, of how the psychic abilities, you know, work.
Right.
When we don't even know it, you know, even waking up in that daze, you're like, you know, in that part, like I'm up, but I'm not up. You know, like little moments in between there. That's your ESP. You know, that's your psychic ability right there. Like when anything moments that's happening between that right there, she's breaking down a lot of stuff. But that part on the porch that really did, when you brought it up, it never hit me until you brought it up. Like everything is metaphysical. Yes, it is. Yes, it really is. That saying, you know, I actually, for like 3 years, I write down people's sayings. You know how you know how people always, you know how they say da 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 da.
Yeah.
Sayings come from somewhere. You know, like, and I like to play that game. Like, that's my puzzles. I like to go find the origin of where that saying came from. And a lot of stuff, you know, I'd be like, wow, like, you know, like, cause they gotta, like, you know, they say, so like, you look up, you know, cause it really mean, like, when they say, life is what you make it.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a hidden channel of the mind. That's not like, cliche just to be saying. Like, life is what, like, your mind is really what your life is gonna be.
Right.
Like, if you you know what I mean? Like, if you think, I'm not gonna, and it's so, that's what it's gonna be like.
Yeah.
That's what your life's gonna be like. You complaining, you know, moping. That's what it's gonna be. The mother spoke about that years ago too. I remember. But you know, just reading about it, you bringing it back up, you know, because we get, you know, we do get caught up in the law, breaking that down all the time. But the power of the mind, you can control everything just with your mind. Like I told the Grand Sheik, you can do all day. I remember somebody was saying it something like 3 years ago, you know, with you know, saying stuff to you in your head repetitively before you go to sleep and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's all, you know, creating who you want to. But you know, it's a lot of distractions. You know, it'd be hard to try to create what you want your life to be because that's why I'm like, I was having another conversation with my boy. I said, look how they controlled our mind. And we think it's not like, well, my mind wasn't controlled. I said, brother, they had a whole nation of people calling themselves a color. Like, come on, what do you mean our minds wasn't controlled? We called ourselves a crayon, and they still do. Our minds aren't being controlled. Are you serious? They had us calling each other a crayon. Yeah. That's serious mind control. That's serious mind control.
Like you're saying,
like we think that's
still do. Yeah, that's a
like
crazy,
we think it's a
crazy
we think that's a game. Like, they don't control our minds. Like, you know, I got control over my mind, brother. You was calling yourself a crayon 2 years ago. You've been crayon. We don't even have control of our own minds.
Islam.
That's why with their Eurocentric thinking, that's why the prophet came in 1913. Told you better get that mindset of your ancient forefathers and foremothers.
Straight.
He was telling you, get away from that Eurocentric mindset.
Get away from the Eurocentric mindset. And the most Eurocentric mindset is not being Moors or dissing Moors. That's Inquisition thought processing.
Right. Oh, man. Oh, that perfectly said right there. That's what it really is. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. Because that's inquisitional platforms that they made to put towards the Moors. Still in practice today. Still going on today. Under the guise of another name, this name, this name, this name, is still inquisitional practices against the Moors.
Still.
Got Moors arguing over we're not this, we're not that, and all those concepts are Eurocentric concepts. The whole we're not this, we're not that it was made up from the Spanish Inquisition. They wanted that. They wanted that. They made that up. That's what they implemented. They wanted that argument. That's what they wanted.
Yep.
Like Dr. Jose Pineda Bay said, why not just, you did everything else. Why can't you just be Moors? Why did you take the Moor away? They didn't have to, they took everything.
Yep.
Why couldn't they just leave more? It's something with that more.
Have to take that too. Islam more. I ain't got no more for this. You got anything else over there?
No, I didn't know. Okay. I thought you wanted to read the article, but the other one.
The other one. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the other one. How the Jews invented God and made him great. The God of the Old Testament started out as just one of many deities of the ancient Israelites. One of many. One of many. One of many. One of many. Just that alone. So, if they had many deities, these quote-unquote ancient Israelites, then what's wrong with these ones today that only have one deity? The ancient Israelites had many. Because remember, the so-called Hebrews, those were a bunch of different people from all over the place. The Israelites.
Right, it's 12 of them, right? It's 12 tribes.
So, if all these 12 tribes are a zodiac, then that means this is extraterrestrial. If they're talking about 12 tribes of Israel, they're talking about the zodiac. If they're talking about the zodiac, they're talking about extraterrestrial. And they have their own stuff messed up. So they're looking at this as some earth plane.
Yep.
Some guy with some tablets talking to bushes and BS. Like, if you want to play the fiction, then anything you say is nursery rhymes. Because again, we're not saying just some, we're not just saying some Morocco, and then we're stopping there. I'm not saying descendant of Moabites and then you shut down Moabites and then that's it, we're done. Like how you people are done once we shut down that you're not. You can't be Israelites because you had Canaanite gods as Israelites. What the hell up? You had Chaldean gods as Israelites. What you mean? Well, you have a Chaldean god, you're talking about you're somebody. Yeah, we're Israelites, but we have a Buddhist god. Stop the madness. Again, the Moor, the Mason, and the alien. Richard Smith. The Moorish legacy. A spiritual identity first and foremost. The Moorish legacy is this planet's lamp of illumination, which is the premier definition of extraterrestrial intervention via the Temple of Solomon. As such, the Moorish legacy represents the royal inheritor of the throne of power and the entire solar system, aka the kingdom, the royal estate. The Moorish people carry the genetic code that represents the legacy of the Ankh-Ils, the angels, and are therefore the guardians of Adam's covenant, a genetic and spiritual metamorphosis that transformed into the passion of the Christ. However, it should be understood that when we use terms like Moors, Moorish people, Moorish legacy, or references to Asiatic nations, we are also referring to what is best understood as the true human being, the people of color and hue known as the sun-kissed people of Earth. And remember, this is a European. Just remember. Telling you. Once again, it's in the name. Human. Hue equal chroma equal color. The hued man. On top of that, the term hue is an ancient one used for thousands of years by various cultures as means of one's elevating consciousness and awakening the seven seals. Both Kemetan and Grecan traditions knew the word hue as a reference to enlightenment. Sufi mystic saints of Tibet, the Druids, and those following the Kabbalah know the word hue as the originating sound of the universe. Once again, this would equate to the frequency that awakens the beast, the Om, the Om, within Solomon and Aman. This ends up coming full circle with the word chroma and chakra. The seven chakras are the seven seals, each one having its own color or chroma. The word chroma refers to the intensity, frequency of the color. This equates to something mentioned earlier, tweaking the dial and tuning into a certain radio station. The power of creation is based on this. This is why the bloodline of the prophets and the Star of David have such a close connection to the sun-kissed people of earth. Hue, chroma, melanin, frequency, elevation of mind, psychic awareness, metaphysical powers, illuminated prophet. It's interesting to note that George Lucas hit upon this in the Star Wars mythos with the term mitochondrians, something that equates to the frequency and intensity of the metaphysical capabilities in Jedi Knights, a symbolic reference to the Moorish legacy as guardians of the covenant. Yeah, what do you think about that, man?
Guardians of the Covenant. European going in.
Guardians of the covenant.
And these Israelites, so-called Israelites, that's not a more. You got the picture? Did they see the picture with the so-called Israelite with the cup on his head?
Yeah, we got him up right now.
Oh my goodness, that's a nigger with a cup on his head. That's not a fez. That's not a Moor.
Yep.
Playing games with the birth rate, but European telling you Moors custodians.
The guardians. The guardians of the covenant.
Right, the guardians. But the so-called Israelite guy, who is a Moor? Who is a Moor? Playing games with the birthright, but the Europeans paying homage. The prophet told him 100 years ago, the Europeans gonna help me. Why not you? He told him that 100 years ago.
If the European help me, why not you? Sitting there with a cup on your head, like a goof. Cup on the head, guy. And then just for the last nail in the coffin, you could go look up this article and read that. The origin and insufficiency of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement. You know, that Jew boy.
Origin and insufficiency.
Let's go read what that Jew boy had to say about him. Islam to all Moors. Happy Holy Day. And we'll let it did something for you. And those waking up, I will that you got something. You learned something today. If you didn't, oh well. Oh well.
All those books you read, man.
You know, just can't say anything if you didn't learn anything. Oh well. This is what it is. Islam to all the Moors. Don't forget, no class on Sunday. We're gonna be down at the brunch. We're gonna be down at the Five Principles brunch. It's gonna be this Sunday. It's gonna be this Sunday at Fusion Lounge. Pretty sure it's 880 man. But just know.
Yeah, the origin of the word Moor is not Greek. Neither don't let nobody tell y'all that. It's Berber in origin. I got the dictionary.
They got the dictionary.
And Berber in Arabic is Moor. The word Berber, it's an Arabic word for Moor. So The word Moor is Moorish. Isn't that? Right in the dictionary. It was hidden. You know how they try to say it really wasn't hidden. That was hidden.
Yeah.
That. I had to dig and scratch for that.
Yeah, the claw.
It's not Greek. It's Berber.
And Berber is
and like
Moorish.
And like the Massachusetts senator said, South America is the Barbary states. You can look that up. They know it's Morocco. They're just playing games with the birthright.
They know what's up. Islam Moors. Peace and love to all Moors. Looking for this damn thing. This damn flyer. It could disappear or something. There you go. Somewhere around here. Fusion Lounge, 880 Ellesmere Road. 416-357-4345 RSVP. 416-357-4345. All you can eat brunch, May 5th, 11 to 2 p.m. Adults, 20 notes. Young adults, 10 notes. Children, free. 5 principles cuisines. You can get your recipes. Just look up 5 principles cuisines on YouTube. Gmail, number 5, principlescuisines@gmail.com. And we'll be there. We'll have a little corner doing a little Q&A tomorrow, 11 to 2, while we're getting fat on some 5 principles, because we know how they get down. Fusion Lounge, 880 Ellesmere Road. Honors the 5 principles for doing their thing. Islam to all the Moors out there, worldwide. Once again, happy holy day. Stay true to the cause. Stay true to the cause. Islam, brother Yusuf, give thanks more.
Islam, Grand Chief. Give thanks to the Moors in the chat. Islam. Give thanks to the Prophet, too.
Islam.
Islam.